Leading the College of Arts and Sciences is Senior Lecturer in the Department of English, Holly Painter. The class of 2025. Graduates, family, and friends, please join me in welcoming Dean William Falls and the platform party of the College of Arts and Sciences.
Hello, students. I am going to call upon our esteemed colleague, Professor Pablo Bose, to open these proceedings. Pablo, give us order.
Order! 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 I declare these proceedings commenced.
Faculty on the platform party, you may be seated. Please join me in welcoming the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, William Falls.
Congratulations, class of 2025. It's an honor and a privilege to stand before you on this special day as we celebrate your graduation from the College of Arts and Sciences. Firstly, I would like to express my gratitude to the people who made this event possible. I want to thank our phenomenal Dean's Office staff who've worked tirelessly with our students throughout the year and ramped up to an exhaustive pace in the weeks leading up to this day. Additionally, I want to extend my appreciation to the chairs and directors of our 30-plus academic departments and programs and our commencement marshals. I also want to thank the members of the University Event Services team, and all those who worked diligently to get the Champlain Valley Exposition ready for this grand celebration. Lastly, I would like to give a special thanks to Celeste Piet and Becca Marilis, who orchestrated this wonderful event, and the extraordinary Student Services team who helped to produce today's ceremony. Please join me in thanking this amazing team. We also have many faculty members here today. They are the lifeblood of this college and this university. These extraordinary teachers and scholars share their passion for learning every day with their students. Please join me in thanking our faculty for making UVM a special place for learning and scholarship. To our graduates, this celebration is for you. It is in recognition of your dedication, hard work, and resilience. Today, you have earned a liberal arts degree. This degree is rich in exploration of the arts, the sciences, and humanities. In addition to the wonderful depth of knowledge you have acquired in your major, over your time here, you have developed and honed essential skills such as intercultural fluency, collaboration, leadership, critical thinking, written and oral communication, and information literacy. These are the skills that make you intellectually resilient, support a rich and satisfying life, allow you to be engaged and involved citizens, and that have prepared you for whatever career opportunities come your way, including careers not yet imagined. In addition to recognizing and appreciating these skills as you leave UVM and enter the next phase of your life, I urge you to remember the importance of service. As the fabric of our society is being stretched, service becomes not just a noble gesture, but a responsibility. I might even say a moral obligation. It is found in the everyday acts of kindness, compassion, and empathy. Service defines our humanity and embodies our deepest values, and is the essence of what it means to be part of something greater than ourselves. Whether it is through volunteer work, community engagement, lending a helping hand to a neighbor in need, listening with empathy to someone's story, going the extra mile at work, or advocating for those voices who have been silenced. Service is about recognizing the inherent dignity and worth of every individual and striving to create a more just, equitable, and compassionate society for all. Thus, as you embark on this next phase, I challenge you to embrace the spirit of service in all that you do. Seek out opportunities to give back to your communities, uplift those in need, and advocate for causes that resonate with your values. So, to the class of 2025, I offer my heartfelt congratulations, my admiration, and thanks for all you have done and will continue to do. You have made us proud, and we cannot wait to see what your future holds. Congratulations and best wishes on your next adventure. Now I would like to invite Dr. Abigail McGowan to the podium.
Thank you, Dean Falls. We have one student award to recognize today. At Friday's College of Arts and Sciences Awards and Honors Ceremony, the Hannah Howard Prize was given to the undergraduate student who has achieved the highest grade point average in the college while enrolled on a full-time basis. We honored Henry Charles Bijour with that 2025 Hannah Howard Prize. Henry is at the second cast ceremony, so he is not here, but please join us in congratulating him in this honor. Every year, we take a moment to recognize our faculty members who were granted emeriti status. This year, we acknowledge 7 professors. First, Professor Charles Briggs, with 16 years of service. Second, Professor Shelley Warren Hagan, 23 years of service. Professor Robert Bob McCullough, 26 years of service. Professor Allison Brody, 30 years of service. Professor Andrew Barnaby, 31 years of service. Professor Mustafa Diouf, 35 years of service. And last but never least, Professor Robert Pepperman Taylor, with 38 years of service to UVM. To these amazing faculty, thank you. Thank you for your dedication to your students and your faculty colleagues at the University of Vermont for so many years. Thank you for your passionate commitment to the study of your scholarly areas and to teaching. We wish you all many happy, healthy years ahead. After thanking the faculty and the staff, I want to take a moment and thank you as our students for all that you have done for our college. During your time at UVM, you've engaged, challenged, sometimes confounded, and often inspired us. You crucially have knit us together. When you cross the stage soon to shake the dean's hand, and I promise we're almost there, you will walk as representatives of different majors. You are more fundamentally, however, representatives of this college as a whole. All of you have taken courses across our curriculum to fulfill requirements. But most of you have more deeply embraced the liberal arts ideal, the ideal of exploring ideas from different perspectives and diverse disciplines in order to understand more fully the complexities of the world we live in. For the most ambitious, this has meant complicated double majors, such as art history and chemistry, psychological science and Chinese, computer science paired with dance, environmental science paired with film and television studies, health and society and French, or mathematics and philosophy. More commonly, for the mortals among us, this has meant combining majors and minors in different parts of the college, diving deeply into one subject for a major, then exploring other passions, or engaging other parts of yourself in a minor. Thank you for that engagement across fields and departments and programs, for the passion that you have brought to the liberal arts here at UVM. By exploring the breadth of what we have to offer, you have brought us together. By bridging fields and disciplines, you demonstrate what it takes to approach questions from many different vantage points, skills you will have many opportunities to use from this day forward. We are, together, a great college because of you. So thank you. Okay, we're now at the moment you've been waiting for, the start of our diploma presentation. Just a few ground rules before we get started. Students, out of respect for your fellow graduates, please follow the directions of your faculty marshals and return to your seat after receiving your diploma. Please note you may not be returning to exactly the same seat, so if you have anything with you, you can carry it with you. The undergraduate degrees will be presented by Dean William Falls. Names will be read by Associate Professor of Classics Jacques Bailey. After today, remaining diplomas may be picked up at the Office of the Registrars at the front counter, which is located on the 3rd floor of the Waterman Building. You can pick those up Monday, May 19th, tomorrow between 12 and 4:30, and then Tuesday through Friday of this week, May 20th to 23rd, between 8 and 4:30 p.m. Remaining diplomas will then be mailed starting the week of May 26th. Okay, let's get started. We're going to start with the Department of Anthropology, represented by Professor Marika Brauer-Berg.
Sebastian Ball Storo. Madeline Baum. Anna Berg. Scout Daisy Conley. Elizabeth Jane Fitzsimmons. Eden Bronwyn Fuller. Grace Maureen Garavan. Audrey Hartle. Sophie Mehua Hood. Michael August Januzzi. Parker Russell Agassi Jones. Ben Murphy Keeley. Mackenzie Renee Montesi. Ava Sophia Artinian Mooney. Sydney Hal Nalamnyang. Emma Nicole Petrikin. Matthew Pekarsky. Alexander Riley Sheldon. Lila Grace Slyman. Brogan Douglas Smith. Dale Snively. Rebecca D. Sperry. Clarity Streeter. Lolita Layla Thompson. B. Wilson.
The programs in studio art and art history represented by Professor Steve Buddington.
Latham Allison. Ethan Scott Berard. Emma Jameson Cathers. Samantha Chavez. Grace Johanna Courtney. Kate Denherter. Sophia DiUlio. Aiden Christian Emery. Haley Folds. Adeline Casey Fine. Asa Turner Carlson Gaddis. Stella Ann Hannert. Isabella Herrera, congratulated on stage by her father, Dr. Gerald Herrera. Lynn Herner. Amelia Horan. Finley Killeen, congratulated on stage by his father, Dr. Kieran Killeen. Tanner J. Loy. Charlotte Greel Lundberg. Austin Phoenix Brown Marasco. Lucas Frederic Martineau. Emily Grace Mistretta. Annabelle Kate Mowers. Oliver Mark Randolph Palmer. Iris Park. Lane Holly Partington. Isabel Penberthy. Bridget Roy. Timothy Robert Searles. Jacob Daniel Shapiro. Amelia Silverman. Anna Sincerbo. Olivia Suzanne Tibbetts. Sochi Tuma Kayat Schotz. Cecily Yvonne Trout. Grace Stewart Wilson. Andy Lynette Gerald Wright. Gabrielle Yatko.
The program in music in the School of the Arts, represented by interim program head, Professor David Ferzig.
Rachel Ambaye, congratulated on stage by her father, Professor Abi Ambaye. Kaylee Baker. Utah Libby Bean. Patrick Ball. Sawyer Peter Butler Booley. Ronald James Davis Chesso. Spencer Elliott Cook. Olivia Marin Deschen. Danielle Hannah Dries. William Coleman Edwards. Benjamin J. Gansley. Ryan Jared Haber. Joseph Morris Washington Hazel. Kaya Ellis Jefferson. Henry James Kuzma. Tyler Henry Lamb. Matthew James Linkilla. Milena Sophia Lomano. Eric Dylan Lingstead Hughes. Ian McKenzie. Luca Medina Downs. Delaney G. McAlizzi. Luke Stoughton Naraki. Jackson Edward O'Boyle. Marin Joy Parker Burns. Logan C. Pickrell. Oliver Howell Purdue. Sophie Raskin. McClan Shane Roberts. Luke Christopher Sheasley. Ajna Jonathan Siegel. Haley Sotovia. Catherine Tretter. Charles Uffelman. Madison Claire Winklowski. John Wright.
The programs in theater and dance in the School of the Arts, represented by program head, Professor Robert Shimko.
Kyra Adams, sorry. Elsa Grace Althoff. Julia Elizabeth Baer. Sophia Catherine Bright. Abigail Richmond Burdick. Catherine Coyne. Wyla DeLisa, congratulated on stage by his mother, Dr. Monica DeLisa. Evan Michael Dodge. Marissa Renee Dumay. Emma Rose Dunaski. Trevor J. Gould. Madeline R. Grant. Carly Elizabeth Hall. Amelia L. Hallen. Acadia Cassidy Johnson. Georgia Malone Wolfson. Ellet Lelong Merriman. Dana Micaiah Mitchell. Teresa Danielle Montalbano. Olivia Grace Newman. Hope Virginia Nichols. Sam Powers. Delia Joy Stiles.
The Department of Biology, including biological science, plant biology, and zoology, represented by senior lecturer Raquel Plouffe, with Professor Stephen Keller representing plant biology.
Biochem.
Okay, forget it. We meant biochemistry, didn't we? Biochemistry, does that feel better?
Okay.
Okay, let's do that again. The program in biochemistry, this time represented by Professor Matthew Liptak, the director.
Kevin Abato. Alexandra Konstantin Bakareva. Jan Calderwood. Danielle Francesca Diorio. Samuel Di Pasquale, Henry Miller Guildhouse, Margaret Boyer Girardet, Henry Haynes, Madeline Harold, Joshua Pascal Hunt, Anya Laura Kana, Morgan Francis Kelly, Sadie Grace Lamoth, Zachary Liebesman, Lucas Lips, Delaney Leigh Nelson, Kiara Marie Nelson, Emma Harriet Pierce, Robin Nicole Rodyenski, Grace Sanborn, Nathan Sprague.
I'm going to try this again. The Department of Biology, including biological science, plant biology, and zoology, represented by Senior Lecturer Raquel Plouffe, with Professor Stephen Keller, representing plant biology.
Ellen Page Adams, Daniel Arthur Olmsted, Michael Kent Antonellis, Jacqueline E. Arnold, Brenna Grace Asaro, Ashton T. Barbeau, Sarah Ann Bartolome, Anna Bastille, Tyler James Baxter, Sarah Megan Nadej Beard, Jack Beauchesne, Catherine Bertolini, Alana Marie Batello, John Michael Blockberger, Brianna Boynton, Leah Jordan Brill, Abigail J. Bruzek, Sophie L. Burns, Julia Marie Chatterton, Jasmine Elizabeth Chartier, Kevin Joseph Cianciolo, Naomi Y. Clark, Brandon Collins, Audrey Comerford, Mary Cuff, Tyler DaCosta, Ella Kriegel Dearden, Magdalena DeMeo, Catherine Boisvert Dimmick, Benjamin Dubin, Lydia G. Fay, Noelle Fish, Kylie Ray Fox, Elizabeth A. Fulling, Bonnie Priestley Gerhardt, Samantha L. Gibbons, Seth Adam Gilman, Kylie E. Gonet, Grant Goodale, Ella R. Gottfried, Rebecca Ellen Graham, Ryan Paul Michael Garisi, Adeline Linda Hacker, Luna Hall, Emily Jennifer Hanley, Mirabelle Suri Harris, Adam Robichaud, Kaya Kanan Santos Hansen, Jacob Samuel Hart, Kira May Healy, Grace Heilbronn, Gaia Hess, Ruby Higgins, Brooke Hornbeck, Grace Ottaviano Horton, Abigail Eileen Houlihan, Emma Rose Hoyle, Holly Hoyt, Chloe Elizabeth Jackman, Amenya Catherine Jean, Maxwell Jean, Faith Alexis Jessman, Janet Madeline Johnson, Veronica Lynn Julian. How do you say that? Sure, you can say it.
Dakota Kahaleluya Paupalai Kaupu.
Grady Eugene Kanash, Christopher Gavin Kruger, Ani Jamal Kosad, Niklas Labanowski, Ella Jane Landon, Noah M. LaRose, Elizabeth Ann Lehman, John Thaddeus Lehman, Luke Lehman, Lila Rose Loeb, Angelina Lopez, Samantha Joy Lyon, Linda Diane Mahler, Amina Malagic, Ryan Eric Malkowski, Caitlin Elizabeth Maloney, Maria May, Gerald Medina Santos, Ethan Monmany Utten, Lee Noel Maria, Lily Maury, Olivia Morton, congratulated on stage by her mother, Dr. Rebecca Willette Morton. Catherine Movsesian, Celeste K. Moyer, congratulated on stage by her father, Professor Mark Moyer. Thomas Sparhawk Mulder, Jordan Elizabeth Murch, Elena Catherine Murtu, Sarah Nardi, Kelsey Bridget Norton, Aaron Oakes, Laura O'Brien, Morgan Elizabeth O'Brien, Akile Orozbekova, Katie Ruth Ovid, Jacob Henry Patterson, Adi Rose Pennell, Aidan Philbrick, David Piccirilli, Allison Politano, Elena Potter, Olivia Cecile Pulio, Eric Joseph Prince, Emma Claire Privet, Luke Andrew Proud, Elise Catherine Quick, Sebastian Redondo, Luke Stiles Ritter, Joseph Soika Riordan, Del Rosner, Isadora Margareta Katz Rosselli, Sophie Grace Roy, Paloma Salmeron O'Brien, Margaret Mason Skelton, Connor Michael Spence, Sage Mariani Soulars, Caitlin Sullivan, Sasha Carolyn Taylor, Lydia Tebow, Alice June Tai Thompson, Isabella Thorpe, Ava Towers, Gavin Anthony Treschel, Sarah Tuck, Willow Grace Walker, Allison Michelle Wallace, Mary Elizabeth Wallace, Karina Warren, Wyatt Washko, Sophia Mancebo, Alida Wetherill, Melinda Marie Wetzel, Aidan Michael Zaromsky.
Next is the Department of Chemistry, represented by the Chair, Professor Bill Poirier.
Eliza Barker, Nicole L. Belisle, Elijah Bermudez Burlinson, Mariposa K. Davis, Caitlin Kelly Eckert, Olivia Claire Gowell, Benjamin Kuhn Hershey, Jacqueline J. House, Emma Humphreys, Maxfield Carlos Loveco, Eleanor Faith Meinhardt, Victor Nukovic, Gwyneth Oden, Bear Paradiso, Aidan Purcell, Carolyn Elizabeth Rourke, Cole J. Schaefer, Bridget Booley Seymour, Ryan Tan, Peter David Frederick Tchaikovsky, Julian Tynes.
The program in Computer Science, represented by Vice Chair, Senior Lecturer Jason Hibbler.
Olivia Grace Alexander, Abdullah Barut, Kincaid Foote, Colin Furch, Edward Gimlin, Elisa Hanada, Alexa Kaplan, Grace E. Kinney, Isabella Delro Persky, Hannah Grace Sheridan, Julia Grace Sober, Elizabeth Stepanchek, Sarah Christine Stevens, Camille Elizabeth Wodars.
The Department of Economics, represented by Chair, Professor Donna Ramirez Harrington.
Zachary Leo Aboud Bieber, Kyle Rogers Alexander, Helen McCormack Argraves, William Armbruster, Bridget Arnold, Eric Anant Bave, Alice Bigger, Sophie Bora, Jackson Cady, Ramey Charles, Olin Thomas Clancy, Moa Clemenson, Tyler Coro, Jacob Vincent Dialto, Ava Soleil DeVost, Will Fultz, Auden Liu Haven Gall, Ian James Geike, Charles Pierce Hiller, Jillian Pilage Ihaz, Cheyenne Nelly, Hannah Larson Nathorst, Edward Daniel Madden, Ari Menezes, Peter Michael North, Anna Brooke Olson, Jacob Pell, Graham Scott Pinty, Samuel Reed Polstein, Luke Edward Pulaski, Theo Emile Rainey, Nicholas Danielle Ravachier, Shay Elizabeth Ross, Samuel Saknovitz, Aaron Stanton, Lucy J. Surma, Austin Kai Thomas Taylor, Ray Tiffin, Allison Rose Tokyo, Susan Louise Urstadt, Prosper Julius Velazquez, Barent K. Weinkoop, Arya Dara Zanali,
the Department of English, represented by the Chair, Professor Mary Louise Keat.
Charlotte Leigh Alexander, Anya J. Bierweiler Franks, Kylie Borsellino, Laurel Marie Bragdon, Tova Christine Brickley, Chelsea Burton, Seamus Jacob Cannon, Carolyn Kavanaugh, Matthew B. Chamberlain, Leanne Sophia Coulthard, Catherine Ryan Davis, Sophia Lee DeHoff, Megan Mary Dillon, Aidan William Flanagan, Harrison Gaylord, Lorelei Carmen Jeanette, Wesley Daniel Gordon, Zoe Ann Gray, Zachary Eli Kalen Grinspoon, Owen Hamilton, Quinn Andrew Hogan, Evelyn McCutcheon Hafeen, Mackenzie Lynn James, Liam Michael Jazakos, Jessica Kaplinger, Anna Todd Kemper, Mason Cosman, Madison Pauline LaRue, Maximilian Levy, Piper Alexandra Lightwood, Natalie Charlotte London, Grace Elizabeth Manzo, Lucia McCallum, Alexander Edward McFedrin, Jacob Miller Arsenault, Gabriella Moroz, Danae Moyer, Zoe Patrick, Abigail Pomerantz, Maya Liz Pound, Greta Lynn Gerwig Powers, Maggie Lynn Raley, Spencer Robb, Theodora Bonus, Lauren Elizabeth Shellhammer, River Zachariah Shaman, Emily Samaya, Abigail Shea, Charles Simmons, Nathaniel Robert Smith, Samara Elise Spellman, Holly Sullivan, Shannon Diane Turner, Piper Catherine Wiegert, Olivia Louise Wilson,
Don't mind us, we are sorting diplomas. Oh, here we go.
Anna Catherine Wolverton, Madeline Wood,
Okay, next is the program in environmental sciences, represented by the director, Professor Shelley Rayback.
Ryan Richard Armstrong, Evan Ames Back, Jacqueline Beam, Emma K. Brzezinski, Grace Katrin Burnett, Madeline J. Corvey, Sarah Denker, Danielle DePace, Madeline Grace Hale, Weston Hatfield, Emma Jelligan, Luke Boove Jodis, Liam John McGowan, Stephen James Meyer, Annika Lorelei Overbig, Amelia Elizabeth Pagano, Melanie Patrizzi, Grayson Rankin, Genevieve R. Rada, James Ephesio Santos, Madison Sheehan, Bethany Tibbetts, Rachel Grace Villany, Ingrid Vesterfeld.
Next is the Program in Environmental Studies, represented by the Director, Professor Harlan Morehouse.
Lucy D. Alden, Hugo Robert Van Cortlandt Bellavoine, Cassandra Smiles Beeler, Grace C. Bellavance, Carolina Francis Bellini, Caitlin Boyarski, William Brosman, Pauline Baker Brune, Mia Caitlin Buljagowski, Andrew J. Burgett, Eli M. Shampoo, Annika Renee Charland, Jamie Shuechan Cole, Malia Collard, Owen Connolly, Katie Denon, Sadie Valentine Falconer, Ella Ferguson, Timothy Michael Guttelman, Leah Grace Golding, Emma Graham, Aubrey Griffiths, Connor Martin Hayes, Devin Herbstman, Kate Moore Howell, Lexi Holton, Ava Elizabeth Johnson, Nadia Eliza Khan, Kevin James Kaiser, Carly Brenna Klein, Jamie Kunzman, Olive Levy, Sydney Linnell, Carter Vimmer Little, Gwyneth P. Long, Sarah Burwell Maroney, Sarah Matos, Maximilian Uxner, Cole Michael Palchak, Alexandra Palmer, Lena Parker, Annabelle Sun Pauster, Toby Rasico, Sam Rader, Madeline Reese, Juliana Warner Ree, Ethan J. Riddell, Lucas Michael Rumer, Olivia Leanne Roscoe, Nicholas William Sampson, Lily Rose Schultz, Sophia Alexander Shulchenko, Adita Singh, Lucy Sokol, Maxwell Lincoln Spradlin, Nora Thomas, East Underwood, Olivia Van Deen, Kai Vu, Connor Jerome Ward, Elsie Warzniak, Sophie Maxine Weinman, Kate Woyek.
The program in Film and Television Studies, represented by the director, Professor Todd McGowan.
Camille Bisson, Charles K. Block, Emily Elizabeth Campbell, Adam Douglas Campbell, Rose L. Donato, Gabriella Estabrooks, Caleb Fleischer Sveg, Samuel Freitas Egan, April Gershman, Brendan R. Hollis, Kobe J. Kessler, Liana Averill Leavitt, Madeline Julia Levesque, Layla Starr McDonald, Emmett Alistair McGregor, Gigi Virginia Marie Machon, Carolyn Martin, Gwen Matthews, Mary Grace McGrath, Henry Lewis Miller V, Catherine Morrissey, Isabella Morsheimer, Clemma R. Prince, Talia Angelina Rio, Bianca Soffer Roberts, Zach Stevenson, Ashley Stroud, Alex Richard Thompson, Eliza Walsh, Emma Elizabeth Wapshare, Kingston Thomas Zenick.
The program in Gender, Sexuality, and Women's Studies, represented by the director, Senior Lecturer Mary Burke.
Allison Helena Basil, Julia Buonomo, Paige Genevieve Flanagan, Ashna Mai Hilla, Riley Grace O'Hagan, Jill Lewis Saltzman, Abigail Megan Sweet, Carly Trider, Madison Elsie Whitney, congratulated on stage by her aunt, Mary Hong. Zane Noah Zupan.
The Department of Geography and Geosciences, represented by the chair, Professor Shelley Raybeck.
Carolyn G. Adams. Megan Alexandra Atwood, Sophia Rose Balunek, Jared Berlin, Jane Bregenzer, Samuel Brania Church, congratulated on stage by his mother, Dr. Ann Brania, Gavin Cotter, Josephine Daigle, Clara Dawn Hagen Monasterio, Kiara, sorry. Sean Hurnett, Annabelle Lila Kaimak, Julianne Klass, McLean David Connor, Sophia Miller Grande, Kiera Eileen O'Hagan, Ryan Hayes Phillips, Celia Relland, Sadie Mariah Schwartz, Megan Annalise Sicko, John Peyton Sneed Jr., Anna Kelly Steele, Bela Jane Steinke, Charles Holden Teal, Kingston Lucas Barocci Warner. William Watkins. Mia S. Whitfield.
And now our last program of this session, the geology program, represented by the director, Professor Shelley Rayback.
Genevieve Foran. Maria Liliana Evangeline Kolb.
Okay, quick housekeeping, and I promise we're almost out of here. Okay, just a reminder, remaining diplomas can be picked up at the registrar's office. If for some reason you didn't get one, they will be mailed starting the week of May 26th. As we begin our recessional, and we are about to leave, please allow the platform party to pass through before leaving your seats. I now call upon our esteemed colleague, Professor Pablo Bose, to bring these proceedings to a close.
Order, order. I declare these proceedings concluded. Congratulations, class of 2025!
You may throw your hat.